So we just got back from our trip, and I'm gonna do I don't know if this is gonna be like a week long with a few different parts or if I'll just do it for a few days, but we're gonna be eating what we have here. I froze a lot and tried to save a lot of stuff before we left. We have some meat, we have some produce in there. So I'm gonna show you how I'm using up some of the stuff that I saved and what I'm making out of it. I I might need a couple things. Like I might need some bread, and I definitely need some cream because my cream was sour when I went to put it in my coffee, and I don't know how because it doesn't expire until June. But anyway, it was sour. So there are a couple things that I need, but most of the stuff we're going to try and use around the house. So I'll show you what we're doing. And yeah, I'll insert my breakfast clip now because I already ate that. And yeah, I'll take you along on my day. Okay, so for breakfast, I'm having 2 eggs with a piece of gluten-free toast and some ketchup. Okay, so while I am using what I have here for the most part, I did have to get a couple things from the store. So I got this blend cream from our closest store nearby. That's just part of lunch. We already had that. We were out of cheese, and I feed the dogs cheese with his meal sometimes. So we needed any kind of cheese, and the pizza mozzarella really kind of spoke to me. I got 6 slices for $3.33. That's really good. And the meat, I got 250 grams approximately for $4.63, and that is really good. Normally, if I were to get that from the grocery store, the cheese would have been $7 or $8, and the meat would have been $6 or $7. I also froze all my veggies, and I needed some fresh veggies for lunch, so I got a tomato and I got a green pepper. I think there still might be some cucumber in the fridge, and hopefully some, I don't know what else is in there, but most of the vegetables are frozen. So I'll be having tomato and green pepper for lunch for sure, and hopefully some cucumber. We'll see. Okay, so here's my lunch. There was a little bit of cucumber left. Sorry, the cash just went running by. You could probably hear that. Cucumber, tomato, green pepper. I put a little bit of this Calorie Wise Catalina that we had in the fridge on there. These pretzels were left over from the airport, so I'm just having a few of those. I have 1 piece of the cheese loaf, 1 piece of the mozzarella cheese, and 2 slices of the Black Forest ham, and a little bit of this sauerkraut that we had in the fridge. We got this from a local store as well, but it was like a week or 2 ago that we got that. So I'm just going to eat this up. I'm also making a coffee because thankfully I have cream now, so I can have my morning coffee finally. Hey guys, so I'm just making a bowl, but instead of using rice, I'm going to use a base of roasted root veggies. So I'm going to peel 3 potatoes. This is for 2 people, not just me. My wife's going to be eating this too. 1 sweet potato and this bit of turnip that we had. And I'm just going to be peeling those and cutting them up and roasting them in the oven at 400. Okay, so my vegetables are all chopped up. I'm going to spritz them with this sunflower oil. And my oven is almost heated. I'm going to sprinkle some of this garlic salt, some pepper, and some Italian herbs on top of this. I forgot it also calls for this cauliflower and broccoli to be roasted. This was from the food rescue that I have frozen, so I'm just putting that on a pan in the oven, and I'll watch it to make sure it doesn't burn. Okay, so I finally fed my dog, so hopefully he'll stop barking for all of these clips. It was too early to feed him before. So I'm going to be using up some of my freezer veggies that I had put in the freezer before we went away on our trip to Toronto. So I'll show you what else this recipe calls for. Okay, so this is all frozen, but it will be thawed by the time the vegetables are ready to go into the bowl. So we had ham for Easter this year. That was like back in April. It is now the end of May, but we froze it and it's still good. So we're going to cut up some ham in really small little bites to try and get it crispy in the pan. It also calls for a spoonful of these black beans that I had in the freezer. I saved these. It's like half a can or something. I saved them prior. So I'll just use a spoonful for each of us, and then I'll put the rest back in the freezer. It calls for a little bit of green onion, which I got these green onions for 40 cents from a local market, and I cut them up, and I'll just take out a few for this. And I probably won't put these on my wife's because she's not a fan of peppers, but I will put them on mine. So I have green and red pepper here, and I'll add those to the pan to saute. So I'll be sauteing the peppers. I'll be chopping up an onion and the ham, and that's what I'll be putting in the pan. So I'll show you that as I'm doing it. I also have, from the food rescue, they gave us a bunch of avocados. As you can see, these ones are frozen. There were a few avocados, like 8 of them or so, that were so ripe that I couldn't do anything else with them but freeze them or eat them right then. So I didn't want to eat them right then, so I froze them. So I took out 2, and I'm going to turn these into a sauce to go on top of the bowl. Okay, the broccoli and cauliflower didn't take long at all, maybe like 15 minutes. It is done, and I'm going to check on the root veggies, but I suspect they still have quite a ways to go. So I cut up my veggies small enough that they're actually almost done. The turnip just needs a little bit longer in the oven. So they were only in for about 15 or 20 minutes. So I'm going to get ready to, I don't want supper until 5, and it's like 4:20, so I'm a little ahead of schedule. But I'm going to start sauteing the onions and the ham. Okay, so in my pan I just have some olive oil, and I put in half the ham that was in the bowl and about 1/4 of a large white onion. In my Magic Bullet, I've got, so that's the leftover, well, the garbage, but the leftover ham and onion my wife's going to eat. I'm going to cook ours separately because she doesn't like peppers. So I've got the 2 avocados in here, and it calls for about 2 to 4 tablespoons per avocado of water or milk. I think I'm going to use water. And I'm going to add in some of this garlic salt. We also got this lime juice in our food rescue bag that we got from Middle Eastern store. It's regular $6.99. They gave us 2 of these. We only paid $5 for the bag, and I just opened it. It's still good. I can't tell when it expires because it's in a different language, but I don't really care. It still tastes fine. So I'm going to put a little bit of that, and I don't want to go overboard with the lime juice because I don't think my wife will like it too sour, but I just want to help preserve some of the color that's left. They're already a little bit brown because they were really old avocados, but we'll see how this goes. I forgot, it also calls for a little squeeze of mayonnaise, and I'm using this reduced fat mayonnaise that we got in the same rescue bag that I got the lime juice in. And yeah, so I'll be putting in a squirt of that. So that's all the mayo that I used. This is for 2 avocados. And because my wife doesn't like the texture of avocado, I wanted it to be really smooth. So I did use 8 tablespoons of water total. So here is the sauce. I ended up adding 2 more tablespoons for a total of 10 tablespoons of water. And I added some more garlic salt. I suspect it might need a little bit more water for my wife, but I'm going to take mine out now, and we'll see what she thinks about it when she tries it. Okay, here's my finished bowl, and my wife is going to have the sauce like this. So it is a lot of sauce, but it's just one avocado, mostly water, and that tiny bit of mayo, which might equal like 3/4 of a tablespoon per person. So it looks like a lot, but it's not. So as you can see, it's got my roasted cauliflower. The base is the root vegetables. I've got the green onion and black beans on there, and then the peppers, the ham, and the onions are nice and crispy. So I'm really excited to have this, and this was all like rescue food, eating what we have on hand, and leftovers from months ago. So I'm really proud of this dish. I think it turned out really well. Hi guys, so it's a couple hours later. After I had the supper, I'm still really full. It was very, very filling. It was delicious. Right now I'm making some overnight oats for the morning, so I'll show you how I am doing that. So I'm starting with just half a cup of quick oats, and I'm putting in 3/4 of a cup of milk, and I'm making these also for my wife, and when I make hers I'll be using almond milk. For mine I'm using 2% milk. So I'm going to use a tablespoon of these chia seeds, and then it calls for 1 to 2 tablespoons of this powdered peanut butter. I think I am going to use, I don't really know how much is in there. Well, there needs to be enough for me and my wife, so I might use 1.5 tablespoons of the powdered peanut butter. It also calls for 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla and a drizzle of maple syrup. It didn't. I got the recipe from ChatGPT, and he didn't really tell me how much maple syrup to use, but I know approximately how much I like. So just put it in according to your taste. And I'm also cutting up an apple. I'll be cutting up an apple into little cubes, and I'm going to put it in the microwave for about like 30 to 60 seconds just to soften it a little bit. ChatGPT told me that it's actually better for you on Wegovy to soften the apple ahead of time, so I'm going to do that. And I'm going to use, it depends, so I'm using rescue apples that I got from the produce box, so I'll be using either half of an apple to a full apple, depending on how much is in there. Like either I'll have my own apple or my wife and I will split one. I'm not sure what I'm doing yet, but I'll let you know. And then, oh, and there's also 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon goes into this. Okay, so the apple was pretty big. I put it in for about 1.5 minutes. Stirring it about halfway in between. I'm going to eat half of this. It was a really big apple, so I'm going to put half in mine, which is right here, and half of my wife's, which is still sitting in the bowl. I did try to put a little bit less cinnamon in hers because she's not a huge cinnamon fan, but this is apple cinnamon overnight oats, so I put a bit in there. It actually looks like I might have put just as much in, but I tried not to. Anyway, and like I said, hers has almond milk and mine has regular cow's milk. So I'm going to stir in half of this apple, mix it all up, seal it, and put it in the fridge. Probably have it for breakfast in the morning. Okay, so I'm a little bit hungry now. I ate about 3.5 hours ago. So I'm going to have a little snack before bed, and I'm just going to have one of these pieces of bread that I got from the Food Rescue, from the Food Hero app. I did get it at Sobeys, and I just paid a couple dollars for it. So I'm going to have one piece of that. I'm going to use maybe 1/2 tablespoon or so of this smooth peanut butter. And then I have this wild blueberry strawberry jam. I'm just going to put a thin layer of that on top. Here's my toast. I'm just going to eat that, and that'll be it for the rest of the day. Okay, so it's the next morning. Here are the overnight oats. I'm just going to have these for breakfast. Hey guys, so I am just at East End Mini Mart. It's a little store around my house, and they have So foods in here, some of them are like really good sales and some of them are less good sales. It really depends on what they pay when they bring in the item. And when they pay a really good price, they do pass the sale on to the customer, which is really great. So I'm going to show you what I got. I spent under $10 for everything here. And we are doing really good at like finding ways to use what we already have, but there were a couple things. I was in this area and I'm like, I'm just going to stop in. We used the end of our cucumber, like we each had some yesterday for lunch, which I showed in the clip. And the last little bit, there was like this much left. I gave it to my wife for her lunch today. So we need a cucumber and there are a couple things that we need, but we're doing really well. So I'm going to show you what I bought. Okay, so the first thing that I bought was these bananas. I didn't realize when I picked them that they were like split in half here, but I'll just cut off the exposed parts and make use of them anyway. These weren't on sale. They were 99 cents a pound. They came to like $2.27 or something like that. The other day when I got the green onions from here for 40 cents, they are now 25 cents each. So I got 2 of them. We don't even need green onions because we still have some. But I'm going to use some that are fresh and the rest I'm going to chop up and freeze because green onions are never 25 cents. They are a little older, like you can see a couple wilted ones, but that is fine. Green onions are usually $2 around here. I got 1 jalapeno pepper. I don't know what this came to. I think it was like 99 cents. But anyway, I wanted to have that. These cherries were on sale. Now, cherries are very expensive here. When they come on sale, or because they're not for sale all year, so I don't mean on sale as in a good price. I mean when they sell them. They're usually $6.99 to $8.99 a pound. These were $1 a pound. This came to $1.03. I was so excited because I love cherries and I don't get to eat them very often. This milk, we need more milk. This was $3.49, I believe. And I think the last thing in here, yes, is the cucumber that I bought. And this cucumber was $1.25. Again, like cucumbers are regularly $2.99. It's ridiculous in our grocery store. So getting it for $1.25 is really, really exciting. More exciting than it should be. So, yeah, I got all of this for, it came to 9 something. I don't remember exactly because I didn't get a receipt, but it was under $10. Hey guys, so I got home. It's like almost 2:30 if it's not already 2:30. I am starving. I haven't eaten since 6:45 this morning. I am making a cold plate with a slaw with some rescue veggies and stuff like that. So I'm going to show you what I'm making. I'm in my room right now because my wife is on a work call in the living room, and which is like an open concept space with the kitchen. So I'm in here. I'm just going to show you right quick what I'm doing for the dressing that's going on my slaw. All right, so I've got about 2 teaspoons of this extra virgin olive oil. I got about a teaspoon each of the lime juice and the maple syrup. This is what the dressing looks like. I'm going to pour that on. I have to bring the food processor in here as well because I don't know how long she's going to be on the phone or on the work call, and I am starving. So I'm going to show you what I'm putting in there. Okay, so the beet and the apples I got, or it's 1 apple cut up and 1 beet. I got those in the food rescue produce box, and the carrot I had in the fridge for a while. So I just peeled the carrot, peeled the beet, and I just cut up the apple, and I'm gonna grate it. You can grate it with a hand grater, but I use my food processor, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's all done. Okay, so here is my mixture. There is more beet in there than you can, so I'm just going to pour the sauce in and mix it all up, and then I'll show you what my final plate for lunch looks like. Okay, so here's my lunch plate. I have a lot of the slaw. I might eat the rest of it, but that's like more than half. I have some pretzels. I have a piece of mozzarella cheese and some deli Black Forest ham. Okay, so it's supper time. I am making a ham and lentil soup. So I'm starting with, I've got my pot and I've got a little bit of olive oil in my pot. And this is a large white onion and I'm putting in about half and then maybe a third of the other half. So that's what I'm using. I'm also going to I'm going to cut up the ham and put that in here and start getting a little crisp on that before I start adding stuff. I'm going to peel and chop these carrots. I'm going to save the peels for future stock. I keep the peels in the freezer in a bag. And this is my leftover ham from Easter that I'm going to chop up into tiny little cubes. And I'm also using some of these lentils. We got this, the bag isn't open, but we've had it for a few months in our pantry. And I wanted to make, the goal was to make like a split pea soup, but we don't have split peas, we have lentils. So I'm improvising. And we're gonna use a cup to a cup and a half of dried lentils. I also have my homemade, and it looks kind of funky because it's still partially frozen. I've been thawing it all night, but it's still frozen. So I've made this chicken broth, and it's in one of my past clips, one of my past videos. I made this chicken broth from scratch, from vegetable scraps and chicken thigh bones that we had in the freezer. So right now I've just got the ham and the onions sauteing. I sliced up the carrots. These are about to go in the pan as well. And then I'm going to put in a little bit of freeze-dried garlic. I had this in the cupboard. There's only a little bit left. I'm going to use it. And I will also add in the broth. And then I'm going to get 1.5 cups of my lentils, and I'm going to rinse them in a colander, and then I'm going to put them in the soup. I'm going to cover up the soup, put it on a simmer, and I'm also going to get some potatoes ready, so I'll show you that here in a moment as well. So this is what it looks like now. As it thickens, because there's a lot of lentils in there, I may need to add some water with this. And I should say, when I cooked the broth, I seasoned it quite well with like peppercorns and salt and lots of bay leaves and garlic. So, and then I had like onions and carrots and stuff like that in the broth. So I'm not adding much seasoning to this, if anything. The ham is also going to give it really good flavor, but if you're using store-bought broth or you haven't seasoned your broth or you're just using water even, you'll want to add some seasonings, but I can't tell you what to add because I'm not adding them, but I would add whatever you like. Okay, I only had 3 potatoes left in the bag. They are getting a little beyond their prime, but I had some yesterday and they're still good. I'm just going to peel these. I compost the peels. I don't save those for the soup scraps. And I'm just going to dice them up. I'm not going to put them in the soup yet, though. I'll let you know when I decide to do that. I'll probably wait for the lentils to soften a little bit before I add them in. So I've just got this simmering, and I used about half a teaspoon of thyme. That's something that wasn't in the original broth, and I thought it would go good with the soup. Okay, so it's been cooking for about 15 to 20 minutes. I just put in the potatoes, and I'm going to cover it back up, simmer it on low, and this isn't the end of what I'm adding to the soup, but I won't be adding anything else until about 5 minutes until it's done. So I'll show you that when the time comes. Okay, so it's coming along. If you've seen my, I might have to put in a little bit more water, but if you've seen my travel video, you'll know that I saved several different kinds of vegetables and whatever to preserve while we were gone on our trip. So one of the things that I preserved was this kale that I froze. I'm going to use about half of this kale. And I used a cup of frozen peas. And I'm going to pour those in to kind of get the split pea taste-ish kind of. I don't know. And some green and some nutrients. And yeah, I'm looking for all that kind of stuff. I think I will need, like I said, a little bit more water. I don't want it to be too runny. Stewy might be better. So I'm going to get those in, and I'm going to continue to saute it to soften up the peas and the kale. So here is the soup. It is all done. It was probably in there, like I probably had it in the pot for a total of like an hour altogether from start to finish. I am just going to have this for supper, and this may be the last thing I eat today, but if I have anything else, I will let you know. Hey, so it is probably going on 9 o'clock. I didn't have anything after the soup. I am full for the night, so I won't be eating until breakfast. I am going to do another video tomorrow, but this one is long enough, so I'm going to end this here. And thank you for watching. If you like this video, please hit like and subscribe to my channel. That'd be amazing, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.